Hi, everyone. This is Tish Aitken, and I'm here to discuss the astrology for the week of May 11th, 2020. And we already are into the week. It's Tuesday, May 12th, and I think that kind of reflects the fact that things are slowing down and we're all catching up. And no matter what, we've all, in one way or another, have been keeping up a very hectic pace really since the beginning of the year with all of this, this Capricorn historical story we've all been dealing with. And so this week, what's happening is, so we've already had Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, station retrograde on April 25th, and it's station retrograde at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And Saturn and Pluto met up on the world axis, which is 22 degrees of Capricorn. They met up on January 12th when we had historical stellium of planets in Capricorn, which deals with karma and accountability and responsibility. And when Pluto stations retrograde, it's going to be retrograde until October 4th of this year when it stations direct at 22 degrees of Capricorn, therefore triggering that big Saturn-Pluto conjunction around death and rebirth and transformation of structures and releasing what's no longer working. So Pluto will trigger that in the fall when it does station direct, but Pluto is stationed retrograde. That's how we transform. So we're all reviewing how we can evolve and empower ourselves. Then Saturn, which is the other key player, stationed retrograde on May 11th at 1 degree of Aquarius. It briefly reached Aquarius on March 21st, and it's stationed direct at 1 degree of Aquarius, and it will re-enter Capricorn on July 2nd, and it will remain in Capricorn until December 17th when it enters Aquarius for good and will be there the next couple of years. So this is a review period in how we can be more responsible in what we need to accomplish, how we can be better and more targeted in our time and our productivity in how we can anchor and accomplish our goals. So Saturn stations retrograde, and we're feeling that energy. Venus, which is the planet of love and beauty and relationships, Venus stations retrograde on May 13th. Now, all the other planets I've mentioned so far station retrograde every year for approximately 4 months or so. So the energy is pronounced 5 days before and 5 days after those planets retrograde. And then we're dealing with that energy for the majority of the year. So that's obviously not that noticeable. But with a planet like Venus, Venus retrogrades once every year and a half. It retrogrades for 40 days. There is a big theme of reevaluating what you value, what you love. Venus is currently out of bounds and has been since April 2nd, which means that it's really acting, energy is even much more pronounced, and it is out of bounds until July 1st, and it's going to be retrograde from May 13th when it stations at 21 degrees of Gemini, and it's going to be direct on June 25th at 5 degrees of Gemini. So with Venus retrograding in Gemini, we're reevaluating and reflecting on how we can be more creative, how we can be more loving, how we can receive and give love, more in a healthy and happy manner. And so that's another thing we're reviewing on, and how we can earn money and how we can partner better with other people in every area of our lives. And then the other benefic, Jupiter, the grand benefic, stations retrograde on May 14th, and it stations retrograde at 27 degrees of Capricorn, and it will station direct on September 17th 2020 at 17 degrees, or no, sorry, September 12th at 17 degrees of Capricorn. So another planet stationing retrograde in Capricorn, how we're anchoring our goals. Again, this is the year of Capricorn. At the end of the year, we're transitioning into the Aquarian age, but right now we're reviewing how we can glean the lessons of the planet of karma and responsibility and business and accomplishment. And so Jupiter's retrograding, and that's how we succeed, how we obtain good luck, and we're reflecting on how we can do that in a more effective manner. So we have 4 planets retrograde as of the middle part of this week, and one of which is a personal planet that does not retrograde very frequently, Venus, and it's out of bounds, so it's much more, it feels almost like a Mercury retrograde, a lot of communication, a lot of networking. Now Mercury, which is the planet that rules Gemini, is going to did enter Gemini on May 11th. And that Mercury will be in Gemini until May 28th. And Mercury in Gemini is in its rulership. It's excellent for all forms of communication and sales and local community activities and, organizing things like that. And so that's in its excellent rulership. It's in its rulership. So it's in an excellent placement while in Gemini, and it's moving very quickly. And because it's answering to Venus out of bounds, it's lots of stuff going on. And you can expect that people from the past will return in many capacities in your life, from old love affairs to old friends to old co-workers, and that's true for all of us, perhaps more for Gemini and certain signs that are affected by mutable planets, but still I think for all of us we're going to be reconnecting much to our past, because 4 planets are retrograding at the same time approximately, and so this is a very reflective time. We've been in a unforgettable year and a historical year, and we're reflecting how we can move forward with a permanently changed world, but also how we can enlighten ourselves, how we can be a sense of community to one another. And that is what I think Saturn in Aquarius has given us a brief glimpse of, and will, continue to do so. But at the end of the year, Saturn is re-entering Aquarius on December 17th, and Jupiter, which is abundance and how we expand and also how we educate ourselves and bring good fortune, is entering Aquarius on December 20th, and the two meet up at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the winter solstice on December 21st. And that's marking a new great cycle, a new 20-year cycle of enlightenment and expansion through, I believe, through connection and through community. And so this is a very reflective time, but also a lot of communication with Mercury now transiting in Gemini, Venus out of bounds, lots of interaction of all forms. Now remember that Venus station retrograde, or will station retrograde, it's already in its stationary period, but with a square to Neptune. They're only 1 degree apart. So Neptune is in its rulership in Pisces. Neptune is the dream. It's the higher octave of Venus. It's very compassionate and very creative and loving and beautiful. But this is very emotional energy, and it's hard to discern what's real and what's not. It's a great source of empathy, and it's excellent for doing a lot of self-healing work and for offering empathy and compassion to others, because remember, this is a time where each of us is going through this. This is a time of universal pain, and that is also the two malefics having met up on the world stage, Saturn and Pluto, at 22 degrees of Capricorn on January 12th. That's a tale that all of us can connect to in one form or another. Some, unfortunately, are dealing with it much more directly, but each of us is impacted forever by this. And we're also learning new skills and new ways to build new value systems and to earn our living and to create and to continue and to have a healthy and thriving life, and to love and to live with passion. And we're all doing that together as well. So This is a big time, and Mars is how we take action and how we get things accomplished. Mars is entering the mutable water sign of Pisces today, and it will be there until June 27th. Now, Mars in Pisces is kind of, spaced out, and it's not, a really ambitious placement, but Mars is going to be in Aries from June 27th until January 4th. It'll be there the rest of the year because it's going to station retrograde at 28 degrees of Aries on September 9th, and it will remain in Aries until November 13th. So, it'll station direct on November 13th at 15 degrees of Aries. So it's going to trigger that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Again, anything cardinal, 22 degrees cardinal. In this case, it's Aries, 22 degrees of Aries. Mars triggering that point 3 times. That's going to be a lot of stress. That's going to be a lot of restructuring challenges and retriggering for all of us what happened at the beginning of this year and individually, because each of us is dealing with collapses of old structure and restructuring in our own lives of renovation and repair and things that we are releasing that are no longer working, but also what we're building, what we want to connect to with creativity and passion. And that's what this retrograde is very much about too. Venus retrograde, square Neptune. What do you want to create? What is the sense of beauty and value to you? But remember that there is such sensitive energy rampant now. A lot of people in pain. Even Mars transiting in Pisces for a little while is going to bring up those emotional issues. And understandably, we're all in pain in one way or another. But with Venus square Neptune, I do think it's important to realize that many will want to escape, especially after a year like we've been experiencing. Again, on the mass level, Saturn and Pluto meeting up in Capricorn with the south node of karma having not met up for over 500 years. Big deal. Huge deal. We have a total solar eclipse that is occurring on the summer solstice at the world axis, also impacting us. And we have 2 other eclipses this summer. So 3 eclipses, which is an aberration, and then having a total solar eclipse only within a degree of the nodes of fate, a big deal. So a lot of restructuring, a lot of release, a lot of letting go, and a lot of rebuilding in all of our lives, and having empathy and connection during a time where Mars is also going to challenge that later in the summer and in the fall when it sets off all these planets in Capricorn, planets of restriction. Mars feeling held back in Aries, feeling angry. So right now you want to find ways to manifest that creativity through love, through empathy, through creativity, through self-care. And a lot of people, again, will feel the need to escape. They might feel suicidal. If people struggle with mental illness, that will be more of an issue this summer. And this retrograde, I believe, is also triggering that fact. And I have talked to people and that it's already starting to be something that people are noticing, whether it's suicidal tendencies or people wanting to relapse or relapsing. So I think it's really important to check in with people because it's going to be a very sensitive time. And again, your best bet is to finding ways of practicing self-care, doing a lot of meditating work, a lot of healing, creative work connected with beauty and nature, a lot of beauty available, and connecting with old friends, having fun through, communication and that kind of nostalgic type of communication perhaps. But it's going to be a big summer ahead of us, and it's been a big year. So just finding ways to reinforce your own self-care and healing tools. So thank you, and I will be back. Take care. Bye-bye.